Okay, so I'm going to explain to you how to split a plant and at the same time about passive and active voice. So first I am putting pea pebbles into the bottoms of the plants, or the pots I should say. So I am putting pea pebbles in the bottoms of pots. Pea pebbles are being put into the bottoms of the pots as passive voice. Okay. Professor Conklin is tipping the plant in order to empty it from the pot is active voice. The pot is being tipped by Professor Conklin to empty the plant is passive voice. Professor Conklin is splitting the shamrock is active voice. The plant is being split by Professor Conklin is passive voice. Professor Conklin is disentangling the shamrock is active voice. The plant is being disentangled by Professor Conklin is passive voice. So the object receives the action. The subject performs the action. In this case, the plant or the shamrock is the object. Professor Conklin is the subject. Okay? Professor Conklin is once again splitting the shamrock is active voice. The plant is being split by Professor Conklin is passive voice. So Professor Conklin is placing the plants into the pots is active voice. The plants are being placed into the pots is passive voice. Professor Conklin is adding soil to the pots is active voice. Soil is being added to the pots by Professor Conklin as passive voice. So again, the soil, the pots, the plants are all objects receiving action. Professor Conklin is the subject performing the action. The action in this case is replanting. Professor Conklin is watering the plants is active voice. The plants are being watered by Professor Conklin is passive voice. Okay, the subject is going after the verb is passive voice. The subject in this case is Professor Conklin. The objects are the plants, the pots, the soil, the water are all objects. Okay? Professor Conklin is adding more water to the plant is active voice. The plant is receiving more water from the container being poured by Professor Conklin is passive voice. Professor Conklin is adding plant spikes is active voice. The plant is getting plant spikes added to it by Professor Conklin is passive voice. Okay, Professor Conklin is adding soil is active voice. The plant is receiving more soil from Professor Conklin is passive voice. Okay, so you're putting the object in front is when you have passive voice. When you're putting the subject in front, the noun that performs the action, that is active voice. Professor Conklin is scooping soil into the pots is active voice. Soil is being scooped into the pots by Professor Conklin is passive voice. Professor Conklin is patting the plants is active voice. The plants are being patted by Professor Conklin is passive voice. The plants are receiving water from Professor Conklin is passive voice. Professor Conklin is watering the plants is active voice. Okay? So again, subject performs action, Professor Conklin. Plants, soil, pots, water, all objects receiving action from the subject, Professor Conklin. Professor Conklin is adding more water is active voice.